I am Slick Nick. Let's talk about, and I love this, Cunningham's Law. So, who knows what the truth is anymore about anything, right? The internet exists, so we have more people now than ever saying this is definitely the truth. And then on the other extreme, the other people say this is the truth. So what's interesting is, in an ocean of information, it's hard to know what is actually real. And as a YouTuber, I'm often asking questions. I'm often making videos where I'm asking questions and adjourning myself about many things, trying to figure things out. And so there's something called Cunningham's Law, and I want to read it to you. This is it, quote, it's a theory that the best way to get the right answer on the internet is not to ask a question, it's to post the wrong answer. Yeah, that's pretty cool actually. I think it's quite effective. If you openly say the wrong thing, and you know that, people are more likely to want to correct you. Now, even if you don't mean to say the wrong thing, people are going to correct you anyway. People on the internet specifically love to try to prove each other wrong. They love to try to prove that the other person is wrong, immoral, and or ignorant. So, if you appear to be any of those things because you say a concept that doesn't agree with them, they'll be the first to disagree with you and tell you why. Now, that can be good because you may actually learn something from them. You may still be right, but you may have part of what you believed to be incorrect. So Cunningham's Law, the best way to get the right answer on the internet is to not ask a question, it's to post the wrong answer and then wait for people to correct you. So what I think would be interesting is we take this principle and we look at my 2021 version of, the 5 questions to ask yourself, if you're going to go bald. Let's check this out. Let me experiment in real time here using Cunningham's Law, and let's just see how we feel about it. Okay. So number 1 is my rule about you look at a photo of yourself at age 1 to determine what your hairline will look like at age 35. So I suppose Cunningham's Law version of this would be something like this. If you look at yourself at age 1 in your photo, that has absolutely no connection whatsoever to how your hair is going to look as a 35-year-old man. Absolutely, there's no way there's a possible connection between that being a projection of you. Despite me making videos on this channel at age 35, showing a photo of myself at age 1 and then showing how identical they were. Despite that, there are other general rules that I've observed too, like you can double a 2-year-old child's height, and that is a projection of them as a full-grown adult. My mom did it for me and my sister. I've done it for my kids. It matches up. It makes sense. But despite all of that, there's absolutely no connection between how much hair you have in your hairline at age 1 as a projection of age you at 35. Okay, that's an experiment. So we've tried it out. Let's try it out again. So again, using the Cunningham's Law here. So how much hair you have now, let's say you're 20 versus age 35, it doesn't mean anything at all, because you could still go bald within a year, no matter what age you are. So even though I'm 40 and still have this much hair, I could still go bald within the next year, and it's just as likely to happen now as it is if you're 25 years old and have this hairline. There's absolutely no connection whatsoever. You can just go bald at any time. No one has any kind of pattern or theory or way to predict that at all. And age 35 is not an important age at all to determine whether most men go bald by that point or not. Cunningham's Law. Number 3, men who grow more body hair, that's no sign at all that you'll go bald or not. The opposite is true too then. So if you have virtually no body hair or very little body hair, that's no sign that you are going to be able to keep your hair. So ignore the fact that I've spent time in Korea and Thailand and noticed that, and they noticed on me that I'm a hairy guy. I have a lot of body hair and always have. Okay? And they don't. And they've pointed that out to me when I was over there. And even though I observed that men beyond the age of 35 and 40 are less likely to be bald, despite me observing that and seeing a connection that less body hair often equals less likelihood to go bald. Despite that, Forget all about all that. You growing a beard early in life, before you're age 18, is no projection or prediction that you're gonna go bald sooner. It's absolutely unrelated. Cunningham's law. Number 4, your ethnic background has absolutely nothing to do with whether you're gonna go bald sooner. Forget the fact that I saw all the Asian guys with less body hair and the men in those countries didn't seem to lose their hair. Or Native American, same thing. Ignore that, because your ethnicity has absolutely nothing to do with any of this at all. So, for example, if you're from Scotland and you have a big red beard and you could grow a beard at age 16, the fact that you're of European descent has absolutely nothing to do with it. Your ethnic background, we're all just colorblind anyway. We can't see ethnic background. It has nothing to do with whether you're gonna go bald, despite what I've observed in Asia. And then lastly, if you have gray hair sooner in life, there's absolutely no connection between you keeping your hair. So, yeah, even though the fact that everyone I observe that has gray hair in their 20s still has a full head of hair at age 50, granted all the hair is white by then, and also that I've observed that guys who don't have gray in their hair tend to be the ones who have either hair loss or at least some sort of maturing hairline or receding hairline. Despite all that, it's completely not connected at all. Okay, so there we go. We did an experiment. Keep in mind, I was using, quote, reverse psychology in some way, because I'm here to say that my 5 ways to predict if you're gonna go bald, if we simply say that they're not true, and we say these general rules aren't true, then it almost makes you really question whether or not you're going to buy into these as reality. So again, that is Cunningham's law. And I think this is very interesting, and I want to actually try to incorporate this more often in my videos. The best way to get the right answer on the internet is not to ask a question, it's to post the wrong answer. So what I did is I posted the opposite of my whole theory to basically help prove that it actually is true. Now, I provided everyone an opportunity to leave a comment, to talk about these things, but let's keep in mind, in conjunction with Cunningham's law, there's survivorship bias. The logical error of concentrating on the people or things that made it past some selection process and overlooking those that did not. So in other words, it's really easy for people to get caught up in the general rule and make that the reason they choose not to believe this. I'm amazed that I have made it so simple for people to predict if they're gonna go bald, yet they don't take my plan seriously. They wanna look at the exception. They want to look at something I didn't even mention, like your father being bald or your mother's father being bald or having receding temples. See, I don't talk about those things because they're not part of the 5. Your comments belong right here.